Hello, everybody. It's Monday. It is 7 p.m. Welcome to tonight's 62 Who Knew show. Little bit of an unusual show. As you can see, I'm alone tonight, and I have no guest. And this was done on purpose. We're going to be having some cool discussions tonight about what this show has done in the last 40 weeks, what it's accomplished, what we'd like to accomplish in the future. We did change formats, I'd say about 2 months ago. Went to the no commercial format. Which was very successful. In fact, the entire television station, the founder of the station, Mr. John Gaston, changed the format of the entire station, and it's been very successful for all the shows, including us. Our viewership continues to grow. In the last 4 weeks, we have averaged just a little more than 40,000 viewers per week. If anybody would have told me we were going to hit that number 41 weeks ago this quickly, I would have bet against it. And to the credit of doing that, I want to thank John Gaston, again, the founder and president of WeBeam TV. I want to thank all the guests, because that's what makes it happen. I'd like to say it was the brilliance of the host or the co-hostess, but no, it's the brilliance of the guests and their following. They're the people that have helped us build this. But still, again, tonight is for what we've accomplished, what we've done, and what we're going to do in the future. And if we are lucky enough to draw those 40,000 plus people this week just to listen to me, I think you're going to be very happy with the 62 Who Knew of the future. So just in case we do have a few new people, because we seem to be picking them up by the thousands, we are going to start the show, as we always do, as explaining a little bit of a synopsis of what we are. What is 62 Who Knew? 62 Who Knew is about the double-edged sword, for lack of better words, the mixed blessing of longer lifespans, longevity. I know I'm very repetitious when I come to this topic, but I firmly believe it. My father, my grandfather, his father, all of your fathers, grandfathers, and their fathers all planned for retirement. They all went to that age of 62, knowing that Social Security was going to start at that age. Of course, you also have the option to defer, but that's not the topic tonight. As America gets to the age of 62, whether they're in their mid-50s or not, late 50s, they start thinking much more seriously about retirement. Hopefully, the younger generations are thinking about retirement much earlier and preparing their whole lives. But as you get into your 50s and you zero in on that 62 mark, and again, it's because that's when we're qualifying for Social Security. That's when you start thinking, have I saved enough money? Do I have enough in my retirement account? Should I go annuities? Should I invest in the market? Should I take my Social Security at 62 years old, or should I keep working and defer to a later date? Do I really need life insurance anymore? I bought that when I was younger in case something happened to me so my wife could bring up the children with the proper care and have a college education and give them a start in life. But the kids are all grown and doing better than I ever did. There are so many reasons, so many questions. Have I taken care of myself? Have I eaten too much and got overweight? I know somebody that did that. There's just so many questions. What major medical should I keep? Oh my God, Medicare is coming. The questions never stop. But one thing we have in common with our fathers, our grandfathers, and their fathers is we're all asking the same questions, the same exact questions. But this generation, my generation, I will be 61 in, 22 days. What my generation has is an obstacle that no other generation had. And what is that obstacle? That obstacle is longer lifespans. Although we have been living longer and longer for the last several decades, in the last several decades, medical, modern science, technology, breakthroughs have been staggering since the early 1980s. We've improved consistently through all of the 20th century, but from the 1980s till now, the breakthroughs have been staggering. A high percentage of almost all cancers is 100% curable if caught early enough. Diseases like, although some of them are making a comeback, like chickenpox and mumps and measles that we worried about when I was a child. Some children today, some young adults, don't even know they ever existed. Today, when we get to 62, unlike the people that followed us or our predecessors, we're not planning for another 15 or 20 years of life. We have to plan for the next 30 or 35 years of life, because statistics say if you make it to 65 in this country, you have better than a 50-50 shot of making it till 90. And the truth of the matter is, with the breakthroughs that are right ahead of us, breakthroughs that have already happened in modern science, technology, and medicine, when those things clear the approval process of the FDA, which we won't get into that either because it's a terrible, too long of a process here in this country. That could be a show one day. But once that clears in the next 12 years, and we have medicine that literally erases the plaque on the arteries of your heart, things such as that, we're not going to live to be in the 90s. It's going to be in the hundreds. And not just 101, 102. This is a fact. It's going to be 105, 110. And doesn't that sound great? But now, if you're trying to retire in your 60s, you have to plan for 40 years? As it is right now, only 1% of this great country has enough liquidity, has enough retirement income and assets planned in place, 1% of this country, to live to be in their 90s, to live another 30 years. Who knew at 62 that of the 60 years we spent here, we still have half that time left, another 30 years. And that's going to do nothing but get longer and longer. Doesn't that sound great? Or is it, if we have to work until our 70s or 80s? Or is that going to be the new normal? That's the premise of this show, of what we must do past 62. And I hope we have people watching in their 40s and 50s, although demographics is telling us that most of our audience is in that 58 to 70 range. And I want to bring that audience level down. I want to bring that age down way into the 50s, maybe even late 40s. Because many of the things we discuss, that's when the planning process starts, especially if you're going to live 3 or 4 more decades. So it is a mixed blessing. And it's time that we all took a look at that very seriously. It is amazing to me, I've said this before on the show, how many people that I deal with in my own career that have substantial liquidity, assets, money under management. I'm not going to mention a number because that's not appropriate, but substantial by anyone's means. But if you take that number and you divide it into how much a year you'd like to live in, what is your style, what is your quality of life that you would like to live in during retirement, and you divide that number, that income, the number you're going to have to withdraw from that portfolio, from your savings. And if you take that number and divide it into how much you actually have, you'd be surprised how much of this population, not of just this country, but of the entire world, when they divide it, go, I don't plan on dying by then. What's wrong with this math? There's nothing wrong with this math. We have just never lived this long, okay? So funding longevity, these 2 words are on the tip of every financial planner's tongue. They are on the tip of every financial advisor of any type's tongue, insurance person's tongue, Social Security person. But more important than that, it should be on the tip of every consumer, you and me, not the experts. I'm an expert at a couple of things, but not financial planning. That's not my thing. Most of you know I am a reverse mortgage person, and I have a fair amount of knowledge of some other things because I come into contact with those people. I learn from them, our guests, fellow speakers that speak around the country, and I've been lucky enough to be with them and absorb and learn from them. But it's the average guy. It's that person that is approaching 62, as I am, and wants to look back and go, wait a minute, 3 children, 3 grandchildren. I not only want to be there for them physically, I want to be there for them financially. I want to be there to help. I want to travel. I may not have a yacht, don't want a yacht, don't need a private jet. That's the top 1%. That might even be the top 0.5%. But I do want to travel. I don't want to work 12 hours a day until they put me in the ground. That's most of us. And what I want 62 who knew to be, and I think it has to a point, to be that point of information that gives you information constantly on how you can get from 62 to 90 to 95 to 100 and above. I want to not just give you the guests that talk about it, but actually give you the channels, the platforms to be able to react to it, click on it, and do something about it. That has always been the goal for 62 Who Knew. I got to take a drink. I got some emails that saying you shouldn't take a drink while you're on camera. The lights are hot, guys. Give me a break. All right, and I always forget my 62 Who Knew cup. Yes, I'm reminded of that all the time, too. Well, this ain't ABC. Okay, thanks. All right, here we go. So what have we accomplished while we're here? And this is not a pat on the back. I have a method to my madness. It's why I'm sitting here alone tonight, because I want some of those 38,000, 42,000 people a week that have been watching this past month. I want you to contact me at mbanner@62whoknew.com or through my mortgage company, mbanner@pmanow.com. I don't care how you contact me, but contact me. I want your input. I'm not selling you anything. I'm not asking you to do anything. I want your input. But let's talk about, in the last 41 weeks, and I am certainly not going to mention all 41 guests. If I leave you out, I am sorry. I thank you. You are part of what made us be above 40,000. But I'm going to give you the most popular topics in order. What topics took us from 0 viewership to 5,000 to 10,000, 30, 35, and now above 40. I wish I could say that that reverse mortgages was in the top slot, but it's not. Not surprisingly, long-term care insurance drew more viewers in the last 3 months than any other topic. And let me make a disclaimer at this point. I do not have an insurance license. I am not attempting to sell you any type of insurance. I am not being compensated by any insurance people. I hope one day to do that, but I'm not today. Pure disclosure. But long-term care insurance, I do have a fair amount of knowledge of, enough to speak of it, not like the experts we've had on. And I think that is one of the reasons why those shows were, in fact, the shows that drew the most people. 3 times, and he'll be on again, I hope, in the next couple of weeks, Mr. Mark Goldberg, the president of FPS Insurance. Mr. Goldberg is well known nationally, not just for his incredible expertise in the long-term care insurance world, but for his passion for it. And his 3 shows consistently just brings our viewership up, up, and up. We have had Mr. Bill Comfort. I've said this before about Mr. Comfort. I consider myself a fairly good speaker. I speak a lot about reverse mortgages throughout the country to financial planners, long-term care providers, attorneys, real estate agents. I am comfortable in front of a camera when there's nobody in the room but me. I'm even more comfortable with a microphone and several hundred people. I'm just a ham, that's the way it is. And I consider myself a fairly good speaker. I listen to Bill Comfort speak, and I feel like I'm Mel Tillis stuttering. Again, just a combination of his staggering content and knowledge about long-term care insurance and the passion and the emotion that he puts into the speaking. Of course, we have had Miss Carol Golden, who has got decades of insurance and is now in charge, I never get this name right, but the name of what she's doing, the Limited and Extended Care Planning Center from NAFA, one of the largest financial advisor, if not the largest financial advisor group in the United States of America. These 3 people, and then of course one person that I mention all the time but hasn't been on the show but will be soon and has been my personal guru and mentor, Mr. Peter Gelbwax, also quite the legend in the long-term care world. Much of my knowledge comes from him. It is these people that come on the show, do their thing, and make our audience rise. But when they do it, it becomes evident why. The world is confused. The country is confused about long-term care insurance. It's too expensive. No, it's not. Middle-class America can't afford it. That's not true. Oh, it's nursing home coverage. I don't want to go in a nursing home. Couldn't be further from the truth. It's anti-nursing home coverage. And I'm not going to attempt to cover the materials that these incredible professionals cover when they're here. But again, because I would do it wrong. I would do it disjustice. But the common misconceptions of this incredible product are rampant. and they have been for decades. So 62 Who Knew in the very near future, I'm talking in less than 8 weeks, when we change the format of the show, it's going to go to a panel show. There are going to be 3 person on the panel, 3 people. I'll be the host. 1 or 2 of those 3 people, always 1, sometimes 2, will always be a long-term care insurance nationally well-known expert. The audience deserves that. No product can help you fund longevity. No product can help you fund longevity and protect your assets if we're going to live to be 90 or 95 years old than long-term care insurance. But there are several different products. There is traditional. There is the hybrid programs with life insurance. And again, I don't want to go too deep into that. That's not the purpose of today's show because I don't have the expertise that those people do. And again, I would do it an injustice. But the numbers the last 11 weeks as we've grown show that this is information that America is hungry from. There is just too much misinformation out there about that. So again, in our new premise, which is about 6 or 8 weeks away, it's not going to be easy to have a 3-person panel when very possibly 2 of the 3 people aren't within 1,000 miles. But we're going to pull it off here at WeBeam TV because John Gaston's just that good. Okay? So we're going to do it. And one of those people, sometimes 2, but always 1, is going to be a national long-term care insurance expert. And with the new 62 Who Knew website, you will be able to go to that no matter what state you're in this country and go to it and say, I need help. I need to know what type of long-term care insurance I need. Or I've had it and I just got my premium increased by 80%. What do I do? Or what type do I need? It's time for 62 Who Knew to stop just professing, and I've been proud to do that with my guests, but we're going to actually supply you with the platform to assist you. Number 2, and I'm so proud to say this, is reverse mortgages. There's no, it came in not a close second, but second to long-term care insurance. This is my wheelhouse, and yes, there is more misinformation and half-truths out there about reverse mortgage than almost any other product ever in the financial world, except for probably long-term care insurance. And I find it incredibly ironic that the 2 products, long-term care insurance and reverse mortgages, together, hands down, no 2 products can help bring you the highest quality retirement, protect your longevity, and protect your assets than these 2 products. But they are also the most misunderstood products in the United States of America when it comes to seniors. And again, surrounded by that misinformation of they're too expensive, wrong. Your inheritance is being taken away from your kids, wrong. You're going to lose your house, wrong. And there are experts, so-called experts out there that continually spread the bad rumors about reverse mortgages. And I was nervous to be a reverse mortgage person on this show. As soon as people heard the name 62 Who Knew, they went out, Mike Banner, it's got to be about reverse mortgages, right? No, it's not. We bring it up. It's a topic along with everything else, but that's not what this show is about. And I want to thank the guests that came on in the last 42 weeks about reverse mortgages. I can't thank myself. I'll do that later. But we had Mr. Stephen Sless, who is in charge of the reverse mortgage division of PRMI, which stands for Primary Residential Mortgage Inc. Mr. Sless is also, like me, an incredible national speaker in the reverse mortgage world. And again, the emotion, the pure sincerity that Stephen Sless has to scream from the rooftops how great reverse mortgages really are when they're used correctly is staggering. And you can see him, if you just Google him, Stephen Sless, the amount of videos, workshops that he does. Please, please look at that. 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks, well, I think it was 4 weeks ago, we had Mr. Mark O'Neill. This is a little bit of a different point of view. Mark is not a retail reverse mortgage person like Stephen and myself. Mark is the national director of third-party origination for what many people, including me, feel is the premier reverse mortgage lender in the country. reverse mortgage funding out of New Jersey. Mark came on with over 2 decades of experience on an upper level and gave us the view of what he has seen over the last 20 years, what works with reverse mortgages, what doesn't, the profile of your average client, and how it has changed since he's been in the industry. And I got to say, he gave us a point of view, I love listening to Mark, that most people, that Stephen Sless and I, because we're street people, we love our videos and we love to do things like this, but we're mortgage people. Mark O'Neill, in his national position as head of third-party origination for reverse mortgage funding, gets to talk to several hundred, if not more, Mike Banners and Steve Slesses throughout the country, and his what he perceives as the future and what is happening was very well accepted. In fact, when I did the show and Stephen did the show, the two of us, we drew about 23,000 listeners. I don't know if Mark is listening tonight, but I'm going to make sure he hears this, or at least I'll email him. Mark's show was the first show we broke 30,000 viewers. And the topic was reverse mortgages. Never would have guessed that, but that was our second biggest topic. So again, we're going to turn this show into a platform where you can receive information on reverse mortgages throughout the country. There'll be no pressure to buy one, to secure one, but you'll be able to get all the information. In fact, John Gaston and I, the man who is the founder of the TV station here, are working on 20 new videos, of which 10 are already done, and the other 10 will be done in the next few weeks, that we are going to be introducing on YouTube, on iTunes, which are the top 20 questions asked in this country about reverse mortgages. It is named the Reverse Planet, and you're going to really like it. And I think it's going to help people understand. It's all going to filter back to 62 Who Knew. The next biggest one, the third biggest topic, are you ready for this? Was just last week's guest, Miss Diane Daniels, and her topic was Medicare. Now let's think about that for a second. Medicare. It was the first time that we broke 35,000 viewers. Who is Diane Daniels? Diane Daniels is, number one, a tremendous human being, a retired New York City policewoman. There is no more noble other than our soldiers that protect us all over the world. There is no more noble profession than being in law enforcement. And this great woman did that for us for almost 20 years in New York City, the best city in the world and the best police officers in the world, I might say. And then she wanted to protect and serve in another way. And she formed the Medicare Nation. The Medicare Nation, Inc. was founded, and she is the president of it. She then also formed the Medicare Nation podcast, which is the #1 podcast on Medicare in the country. And again, the expertise and the warmth was just there. So last week was the first time that we ever went above 38,000 or 37,000, whatever it was. And again, what that says to us is people are interested in this information. And what I learned just in that hour, I'm tempted to make this a 2-hour show, but I'm afraid you'll all go, okay, we're turning it off now. What we learned just in that hour, what I learned about what I have to do before I'm 65 to make sure I have the proper Medicare or the proper Medicare supplemental policy was incredible just in that hour. And we thank Diane a lot for being here. And Diane is going to be, I hope, one of the regulars on our show, one of the second or third person on that third person panel. And you'll be able to reach her not just through the MedicareNation.com, but also through 62 Who Knew. This one's a little unfair because he was one of my first few guests. Couldn't believe we had a speaker of this quality. And I say it's unfair because he was the first person to bring us above 10,000 viewers. And I think if we brought him back now, we might break 50,000. But almost 3 months ago in our 40-week history, no, it's probably more like 6 months, we had Mr. Tom Hegner. Tom is probably the #1, or is most certainly the #1 expert on income annuities, not in America, but in North America. He has written a handful of best-selling books and goes by the theory, or by the practice, I should say, and literally backs it up with mathematical facts, psychological facts, medical facts, that retirement, quality of life in retirement, is not about assets, but about income. If you have any chance at all to see Mr. Tom Hegna in person or subscribe to his website, that's Tom Hegna, Hegna, purchase his books. If you have any chance at all during retirement or as you're approaching retirement to connect yourself with him, whether it be through the internet or purchasing his books or attending one of his events, oh my God, please do it. And he took us from 5,000 viewers to above 10,000 for the first time. But again, annuities, it showed at that time, at that early point in 62 Who Knew's life, it showed that that was a topic that our audience, or that the audience, the public, was interested in. And we are hoping to bring back Mr. Hegna on a regular basis. Busy man, though, probably the busiest man that I've ever had on, and I thank him so much for bringing his expertise, his passion, his unbelievable speaking style to Little 62 Who Knew when we were so new, and help us get us to where we are today. The Weizmann Institute in Israel, one of the top institutes in the country, Mr. Richard Ensline, thanks to a mutual friend of ours, has been a guest for us twice and spoke about stem cell research, fixing spine injuries, different things that are coming, such as cures for Alzheimer's, cures for the plaque in the arteries in your heart. They're not coming, they're here. They're in the testing stages. What the Weizmann Institute, and again, if you'd like to look that up, it's Weizmann in Israel, has done such staggering things, not for the people of America, not for the people in Israel, but for the planet for the last 80 years, 8 decades. Please go to their website, look and see what they do. If you would like to become a benefactor, I am hoping to do that before the end of this year. We are hoping to generate a certain amount of business from this website, from 62 Who Knew, and without a doubt, a portion of that will be going to the Weizmann Institute. They literally change the world. And if you didn't see those 2 episodes, go back onto YouTube, or you can always go back onto WeBeam TV's site and look at past episodes and look up those 2 episodes of the Weizmann Institute, and you'll see why I am saying longer lifespans are here, and it's just going to keep getting longer and longer. So our thanks to the Weizmann Institute. So the first time we ever went above 25,000 views or 28,000 views was 6 weeks ago when we had Miss Laura Banna on. Yes, relative, only relative that's ever been on. And Laura came on to talk about her company, Compassionate Education, which deals with all types of dementia and Alzheimer's. And that hour went like it was 20 minutes. The input that we had, the reactions from our people that were watching, as we know, Alzheimer's and dementia is the most hideous of diseases. It attacks the mind, it takes away our personality, it takes away our ability to do things, our memory. I don't know if I can think of some way. They say a human's number one fear of dying is actually being eaten, like by a shark or a bear. I don't know. I might take the shark or the bear over not remembering who I am, or quite frankly, not remembering who my children or grandchildren are. It's okay. Play the music, dun, 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 and throw me in with the shark. I think I'd rather have that. Unbelievable topic. Laura approaches this topic, again, with grace, with content, with passion, pure competency, and it was an incredible show. But again, the reaction to be the first time above 25,000, and we're talking about dementia. Is there a cure coming? Yes, there is. Is there better medicine than there was 10 years ago? Yes. 5 years ago? Yes. So this is going to be another topic. I wish I could say you could click on it on the new 62 Who Knew website and get a cure. you won't be able to. But we will have a link on the new site to Mrs. Banner's website, Compassionate Education, because this hideous disease does require compassion as much as it requires education. And it touches everyone. It just literally touches everyone. There are people out there that don't need or want a reverse mortgage. There are people out there that maybe are wealthy enough to not need long-term care insurance, or for whatever the reason may be. They may not have enough assets or liquidity to buy an annuity. But everyone has someone in their family right now. Everyone in every country that they know either has a certain type of Alzheimer's, a certain type of dementia, or they're approaching it. It touches everyone. It doesn't care about your wealth, your financial statement. It doesn't care about your race, color, or creed. It is probably the least racist, lethal disease that mankind has ever seen. And Laura, I hope, is going to be a constant guest on the show, or a regular guest. And again, we want the new 62 Who Knew new website. We've made many changes to it in the last few months, but it's being overhauled all over again. And we want this to be the constant source of info. When you hear mom or dad or your aunt or your cousin or your uncle is showing those signs, go, wait a minute, there is a source where we can go. www.62whoknew. We're planning on that being part of our future. And there are some things also that we still haven't had on the show and are going to. Health. We need to get more health people on here. Not just how to go on a diet and lose weight, but you have to eat different as you get older. You're not as active. Maybe you're more active, depending on what you're doing. Travel. In the next few weeks, we are bringing on a national travel agency that is going to be offering discounts to everyone that comes through the 62 Who Knew website on cruises, obviously air flights. Of course, cruises are the #1 vacation for people 62 and above. It's my favorite vacation, and I'm not even 62 yet. And it's been my favorite vacation for a couple of decades. And we're going to be happy to have a national travel agency on our website offering special discounts to the people of 62 Who Knew, to our audience, to our 62 Who Knew family. We're very happy with that. We're also going to be bringing on a couple of guests. It's really amazing that I've never thought about this. It's something, this show has definitely taught me how much I don't know. We're going to bring on some guests that will teach you how to emotionally prepare for retirement. Isn't that interesting? Emotionally prepare. We're used to a certain pace where I don't care what you did for a living. You get up in the morning and you do something. You have a structure, whether you're a policeman or a fireman or a school teacher, or as my father used to say, a baker or a candlestick maker. There is a structure. Suddenly when that is over, and there's money in the bank, and there's more freedom that you've ever had, suddenly that structure is gone. And even the best of us go, all right, now what? So I'm very excited in the next few months, between now and the end of the year, to be bringing on some national experts and authors to talk about the emotional side of retiring, not just the financial side. There's another topic we're going to do that was brought to my attention this past week. Fashion. I was on a radio show earlier this week, a fantastic radio show. I want to thank the people for bringing me on. And it's an independent radio show, like this is an independent TV show and the TV station. And I was a guest for 45 minutes talking about reverse mortgages and how you can use them to purchase a home. We had great time, but they feature an independent business every time for 15 minutes. So I talked for 45 minutes, then they brought in the independent businessman. And this man is a style maker, a man close to my age, but not quite. But when he walked in the radio station, I took a look and went, wow. I mean, why don't I have a suit like that? And I have some nice suits. Incredible. Just the ultimate. And we had a good discussion after the radio show, and we were talking about this. And again, he's a little younger than me, but it struck me. Style. You've been a school teacher. Yes, you dress very nice. you've been a police officer or a fireman, you wear a uniform. Any type of civil servant wears a uniform. There's no doubt if you're a salesman of any type, you dress nice. It's changed a lot. There's not a lot of suits and ties out there other than Wall Street. But a lot of people, as I went tonight, casual, as you know, usually I'm in a jacket or a tie, but it's 95 degrees out there in Florida, so I came like this tonight. But it struck us, and we spoke, and this man's going to be a guest in the next few weeks to talk about just because you stopped working doesn't mean you have to stop being in style or have your own style, something that young people sometimes don't really get. They want to be, there's a difference between being in style and having your own style. And I'm personally going to have a ball having this man on to talk about as we get older, we don't have to change our style, or if we want to, we can, but it doesn't mean that we have to go for the blue light special because we're on a fixed income. No insult to Kmart, okay, but really and truly. Fashion, I'm looking forward to that for men and women as we get older. And there's just going to be a lot of other things. So what I'm asking, again, I might have lost, I hope I didn't, a great majority of our 40,000 viewers when they go, what is he talking about? And why is they bringing somebody a little more interesting on? What's the topic? The topic tonight was the future of 62 Who Knew and what we're going to make it into. It continues to evolve. It continues to grow. Again, just in summary, our top 2 topics that people seem to flock to because they're so misunderstood is long-term care insurance, traditional long-term care insurance, and life insurance with a long-term care insurance rider, which is more commonly known as the hybrid product, reverse mortgages. We did a radio show again just a few days ago, small independent station, but great local audience. And I discussed the purchased reverse mortgage. Stephen Sless and I and Mark O'Neill have discussed this several times in the last 41 weeks on the show. But just since I've been on that radio show, which was last Thursday, today's Monday, that was 3 days ago, 4 days ago, if you want to count Sunday. And I have gotten calls in my company for 3 purchase reverse mortgages. And again, just a quick recap, what is a purchase reverse mortgage? When you see the reverse mortgage commercials that you all see on TV with Tom Selleck, he's the one that's on the most right now, but they've been on with Fonzie many years ago, Robert Wagner. We've had Pat Boone for a little while, the man from Law and Order who passed too soon. I was a fan of his. Right now it's mostly Tom Selleck, and they are great commercials, and nothing but kudos to the company that's doing that commercial. They're bringing some good attention to the reverse mortgage world. But that's the needs-based reverse mortgage. That's the people that are not broke by any way, shape, or form, but they have a need for a reverse mortgage. They'd like to eliminate their mortgage payment. They'd like to pay off their cars and their credit cards. Their mortgage payment is already gone. Their house is free and clear, and they'd like to bring in some cash flow, get a monthly check from their reverse mortgage to increase their monthly disposable income. That's what all of these commercials are about. One of my national niches in the industry is the purchase reverse mortgage. And when we discussed that on the radio just a few days ago, the audience just went crazy over it. Yes, you can buy a house in America, in all 50 states, buy a house with a reverse mortgage. Think about that. You can purchase your dream retirement home without the obligation of a monthly principal and interest payment for as long as one of you, if you're a married couple, as long as one of you live in that home. I don't understand when I say that, why most of you 30 or 40,000 people that are watching don't call up and go, what did you just say? Because a lot of times when I say this in person to 100 or 50 or 200 people, literally, they all go, what? What did you just say? Yes, there is a mortgage in this country at a competitive rate with competitive closing costs that allows people 60 years old and above, used to be 62, now we have options for people 60 years old and above to purchase their dream retirement home without the obligation of a monthly principal and interest payment. Always remember, with a reverse mortgage, you have to pay your taxes, insurance, and if applicable, a homeowners association. Again, although now you absolutely can go to www.62whoknew and go onto our website and click on reverse mortgages and get information. You absolutely can. But when the old site is taken down and the new site is brought back up, you will have the 20 top questions of reverse mortgages being answered in 2 to 4 minute videos. You will have the ability to complete an application or be pre-qualified or pre-approved for either the needs-based traditional reverse mortgage or the purchase reverse mortgage that would allow you to buy your dream retirement home without a monthly interest, principal and interest payment. You will also have the ability, which is there now, but we're expanding on it right now. Again, if you go to www.62whoknew.com and click on the long-term care insurance tab, you will get a hyperlink right to Mark Goldberg's company, and it will allow you to get information on long-term care insurance, both traditional as well as the hybrid products in all 50 states of the country. You also can download a long-term care insurance guide that is incredible, that tells you about long-term care insurance for free. We're having a certain amount of people do that, but not a lot. And again, that's one of the reasons we're doing this show tonight. Our audience goes 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 30, now close to 40 and above 40,000 a few times. You would think, if not thousands, hundreds of people should be going to our website, hundreds, out of 40,000 across the country, to get information about reverse mortgages and long-term care insurance. And people are doing that, but not hundreds. Why? Many people have said, because I don't do this enough. I don't ask for it enough. I don't have a call to action. And it's a thin line for me. And that's why I want your input from my guests, from our fans. If you'd like to be a guest, am I not asking for it enough? And I don't mean this from a business point of view. I guess I do to a degree, but I didn't create this show to hawk products. I don't ever want to be going, come on, call this number and you can get this right now. But if you act now, you can get 2 for the price of 1. This isn't the miracle ladder. This isn't the person, the things that can, the hose that starts this big and unravels to 3,000 feet. All great products, but I don't want 62 Who Knew to do that. But I do want it to reach the masses. And as we are now close to 40 or a little above 40,000, a little below 40,000 most of the time, but a couple of shows above 40,000, our goal before the end of this year is to have 100,000 viewers per week. And not 100,000 that are just, 100,000 going, I want to hear that. Or you know what? Didn't he have somebody on from the Weizmann Institute talking about stem cell research? Let's go find that show and watch it again, because now we have someone in our family or a friend or a loved one that needs it. Or don't they have that Medicare person on there? That's what we're looking to create on this show, and why I did this show tonight solo, explaining to you what we've done. I also just realized, even though I gave myself notes, I left out one of our more popular shows. Mr. Colin Castle, who has been with us twice, from Home Instead, the largest in-home care, non-medical, in-home care company in the United States of America. The 2 shows that he was on, also a little earlier in our lives, also broke records for us. In-home care, I can't say that's a product. In-home care is a service. But we are going to, on the new 62 Who Knew website, have the ability for you to contact Home Instead through 62 Who Knew. And please, don't wait for our new website. Google Home Instead right now, no matter where you are in the country, so you can contact one of their many franchises. They're just wonderful people. We are very lucky here in this area of Florida to have some incredible franchisees for this company. But Mr. Colin Castle and his wife are two exceptional, not just franchisees, but what they do to go over and above to help veterans, to help people less fortunate than most of us, just staggering people. And the 2 times he was on the show, it was an incredible show. And he also broke some myths about in-home care. Because when you think about in-home care, you truly think about, somebody being 80, 90 years old, maybe even more, not capable of going to the bathroom, not capable of being able to give themselves their own medicine. And yes, there are people like that. And Colin and his staff most certainly take care of those people. But it's for all sorts of reasons. There are younger people that need help after a certain surgery. There are older people making fierce comebacks after a stroke or after a fall, but need some help at home. They have companions that just spend time with certain people, sit and have lunch with them, a staggering thing to do. They have people that will drive you for your shopping. You're still good enough to shop, but you don't want to drive by yourself. Again, we learned so much about what in-home care could be from Colin Castle that will also be a very big part of the new 62 Who Knew website, in-home care. So we have approximately 10 minutes left. Is that right, John? Oh, just close to 9. Hey, that was a good guess on my part. So again, what was the purpose of today's show? There are 3 rules when you speak. For those of you that are out there, like my guests who speak constantly, and I hope my guests see this because I wanted them to see the thank yous, or hear and see the thank yous, because you really did create what's going on right now in the future for 62 Who Knew. Ooh, I forgot something even more. 62 Who Knew will be transitioning into 62 Who Knew, the Longevity Initiative. And I hate to say it, maybe one day, just the Longevity Initiative. 62 New is an incredibly neat name. It was thought of several years ago, not by me, but by somebody else, and a few people, and we took it to the next level, and there was a few of us involved, and I love the name, and it rhymes. I like rhymes. But I'm being told by the experts that it may be scaring a certain amount of people in their 40s and 50s. If not scaring, they're looking at it in social media, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube, and going, but I'm 48, I'm 53. I don't want to know anything about when I'm 62 yet. So I hope we're going to keep it in some way, shape, or form. For the next few months, we are going to be 62 Who Knew, the Longevity Initiative. And ultimately, we might just be the Longevity Initiative, because that's what every week, every guest we bring on is about. Not just funding longevity, but making your longevity happy, emotionally stable, financially stable, bringing some warmth and some laughter. I also want to thank my friend G. David Howard, who was on just a few months ago, and we did an hour of comedy. And we're going to do that again with G. David soon. We're also bringing on one of the nation's greatest, and I don't mean this in any way other than take me at my word, one of the world's greatest magicians over this summer that is going to be here live, cameras coming close. He has appeared at the White House. He has appeared with the largest venues in the world, in the country, and that's going to be, what does it have to do with funding longevity? Absolutely nothing, but an hour of magic. Maybe he can make wrinkles disappear. I'm not sure. I have seen him perform, and it's incredible. But we're going to be doing some new things on the show. So with only a few minutes left, I do want your help. If you're a guest, if you have been a guest on the show and you'd like to come back, I know we're in constant contact anyway, please contact me. If you think you should be a guest, if you're sitting out there going, wait a minute, this is what I do for a living. He didn't mention that in the last hour, and this touches on longer lifespans. Doesn't have to touch on annuities or mortgages or life insurance or long-term care insurance, but it touches on longevity and having a quality of life. If you're one of those 40 some odd thousand people that I hope are still watching after the show, then I want you to contact me at mbanner@62whoknew.com right there on the stage and say, hey, I want to be a guest. This is why. I have a magazine I have a magazine that does this. I have a local TV show, Michael, like you. Why don't we get together and combine our audiences? We are looking to build an audience, and our goal is quality of life after 62. Yes, quality of life all the time in your 40s or 50s, but it's all about pre-retirement and right after retirement. So if you have anyone whatsoever, if you know of anyone or you are that person, please contact me at the email on the screen so we can get together and bring you on our TV show. I was on Diane Daniels' Medicare Nation podcast last week, and well, I should say 2 weeks ago, which we had a ball and helped a lot of people. And then just a few days later, here she was in the studio on 62 Who Knew. So that's the way we're going to grow this together. There's a lot of us out here. I'm in Florida, fortunate enough to be in a great internet TV station where, yes, the majority of our audience is in Florida. But when John shows me the demographics and I see how many people are watching in other states and even a few in other countries, probably our furthest away is Japan, and he's a very steady watcher. I don't know if I don't want to embarrass him. I actually do know his name. I'm going to ask him and make sure that I can say it. I do thank you for watching from Japan this often. But there's a lot of people, there's a lot of Mike Banners in their states saying, this is what I want to do. I want to help seniors have a better quality of life, and this is what I'm doing. If you see this, what I just did today, this particular show, on LinkedIn or Facebook, reach out to me, contact me. Let's see what we can do together to put together a national network, a platform that will allow people to have a higher quality of life during retirement. I usually state this sometimes during the show. I can't believe I went this long without stating it. You know, people say, Michael, you found a real niche. And I appreciate that, thank you. But this isn't a niche. Yeah, well, wait a minute, let me take that back. Rewind the tape. It is a niche, but it's a niche that grows every day. 10,000 people a day in this country for the next 17 or 18 years are turning 62. Say that again. Not 10,000 people in the world. 10,000 people a day are turning 62 years old in the United States of America every day for the next 17 to 18 years. Okay? And soon, the average age isn't going to be 90. It's going to be close to 100. And possibly in their lifetimes, 105 or 110. And in my closing 2 minutes, I want to bring one more thing out. It's great to talk about the stuff we can do to help people every day. And we want to be that source of information, that platform for you. And we look at it, I think you look at everything in your life as it affects you, or how it affected your mom and dad, or your aunts and uncles. You know, for those of you that watch consistently, the first question I ask every guest, no matter what they do for a living, is what brought you to this industry. And just like with Diane last week and Mark O'Neill a few weeks before that, Bill Comfort, Mark Goldberg, always was something personal. Their mom, their dad, really incredible that it's something personal. We relate to things how they relate to us and our loved ones. But it's time to take 62 Who Knew, in the last 2 minutes I want to tell you, to another level in this coming 6 months. What about the world repercussions for people all over the world living to be 95, 100 or above? Will there be food shortages? Will there be home shortages? There already are shortages for seniors right now for proper living. How much more will there be when we're living to be 100 or 105 years old? There's already a shortage of farmers, that incredible noble industry that nobody wants to do anymore. Is there going to be a shortage of cures, medicines? Are insurance premiums going to go up incredibly high because they have to cover people now, not till they're 80, but they're 90, 95, and 100? Okay? With 1 minute left, I want you to think about the world ramifications. Where is everybody going to stay? Are we going to be building homes and condominiums and co-ops and villas that much higher So one of the things the new 62 Who Knew is also going to be looked at when we do our panel show is how this world population, how this explosion of longevity, like those air quotes, longevity, how that's going to affect the world. So with 30 seconds left, there's more we can talk about. I'm sure most of you are going, yep, I am sure he could go on and on and on, and that's true. But there's something about 20, so just forever. It's something I'm passionate about. Thank you to all 40,000 people. 15 minutes, 15 seconds left. Next week, we're going to have a great guest. Nada is going to be back, my beautiful co-hostess. I hope you enjoyed this. Contact me. Be part of the 62 Who Knew family.